Welcome back to episode 6 of A Couple's Take. Today we'll be talking about boundaries, which includes privacy and trust in a relationship.
Right.
So, to start it off, how do you feel about boundaries in a relationship, Hans?
Boundaries, I feel, are important because you allow the person to know how far they can go or how far you don't want them to go. So it's important that you set those boundaries on what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. So
Originally,
it's very important.
When I thought about this topic, I thought there should be no boundaries in a relationship. I was like, you don't need boundaries in a relationship. You should be able to do whatever you please. But then you think about it more and you're like, no, there are healthy boundaries in a relationship. Like, don't hit under the belt when you're arguing, or
don't go too far on those.
Don't get too personal with arguments. Don't do personal attacks. Things that may make you uncomfortable. Things that I can't think. What are boundaries that we have in our relationship?
Some boundaries, like you say, don't hit under the belt while having an argument. Try to control your emotions. I feel like that's what
that's not
we
a bad
be saying
boundary.
A lot. You don't want to go all in on somebody and then
be respectful.
Yes, be respectful. What else? I'd say give me space.
That's a good
when
boundary.
You need some space. You
or
allow
in
the
general,
person to know.
It's good to take space away from your partner regularly.
Right.
Don't say, well, that goes into respect. Don't say disrespectful. It depends on the relationship. We've put that boundary into place in ours. We don't use derogatory, disrespectful terms like that.
Each other.
Yeah, like that's a big no.
Yeah.
And
don't talk about me bad behind my back.
Yeah, that's a big one.
People.
Do not dog me out to your friends and be like, "Oh, I hate this dude. He can't do." That's a big one. How do you feel about privacy in a relationship?
Privacy is, I guess.
How important is it in your relationship?
If I were to pick, I would say like privacy is like a 6 for me. Like, I give you access to like my phone and stuff. It's not like I'm hiding anything from you.
Well, some people consider that an aspect of privacy and a boundary. But I don't want that in my relationship because I don't want it to be like a problem. I want you to be able to go through anything in my phone. And then if you're married, I feel like you should have access to everything, including like
everything.
Bank accounts. All my passwords to
gambling
everything.
Money.
Oh my god.
The stash. You gotta
because it's like you married to this person. They need to know everything. God forbid, in case something happens. So.
Right.
Yeah, but then I was talking to a friend and he was like, I was like, I don't know if there should be privacy in a relationship. He was like, yeah, you need privacy in a relationship. And I was like, in what way? And he corrected me. He was like, sometimes I want space. I need to go take a shit in peace. He said,
your little downtime.
There are some things that you need to do in privacy. There are moments where you need to have to yourself. And I was like, you know what, that's true, because I don't want to be with you 365, 7 days a week. And,
too much of something is bad for you.
Yeah, too much of anything is bad. So privacy is important. What about trust?
Trust is very important. If you
go
don't
hand
have
in
somebody's trust, that means you can't get along. You can't last. So your time card is slim. So you gotta be able to trust the person. You have to be able to share. That's also goes with that privacy. You give most when you're in a relationship, but not like fully, because you're not committed yet. Until you're committed, until you go through those routes of marriage, that's when you could open up everything, lay it all down. But still, some people still hide stuff in their marriage.
They do. I think that's, I don't know. I'd hope not to have to hide anything in my marriage, because that means either you don't trust the person because you don't know how they'll react, or you just don't trust them because you know you're doing something wrong, or I think it's a sad position to be in when you can't be honest, you know?
Right.
I think trust is one of the most important foundations that you need to have in your relationship. And if you don't have trust, then you have a really unstable relationship.
Right.
And if you break the trust, then it's like trying to put a broken cup back together is never going to quite be the same.
Mm-mm.
Do you think you could stay with somebody once they've broken your trust?
Once somebody's broken my trust, it'll be hard to follow through. But if it's a deal breaker, nah, I can't stay with you.
On what level are we talking about?
What level depends on what happened. If it's serious, like cheating, of course, nah. Yeah, I'm not staying in that relationship. We gone.
What if it's like she was just talking to somebody?
She was talking. She didn't do
nothing physically, but she's been flirting with somebody
or being too friendly. You gotta be able to have those conversations and set those boundaries.
Yeah, but I think those conversations can be hard though, because sometimes it's like, I feel like if a man cheats on a woman, then immediately the woman she may not consider immediately leaving if a man cheats on her. She may be like, well, let me think about it. And he may be able to get back in her good graces if he's sweet talker and stuff like that. Right. But if a woman cheats on a man, he's gone. He won't think twice about it. He'll be like, bye, deuces, that's it. And so I feel like when men cheat, they say like, oh, it's just a physical thing, you know, it didn't mean nothing. There's no emotion behind it. When women cheat, I don't want to say all of the time, but I feel like if I cheated, it would be something emotional. Like, I'm not getting some type of attention or affection or something at home. You're not making me feel wanted or needed or appreciated, all those things. And then if somebody come by and they making me feel all them things, and you're not sleeping with them yet, you're just flirting with them, that's emotional cheating.
Right.
But men will still get mad at that because it's like, oh, you're flirting, you're being too friendly with this person, you have an emotional connection with them. But it's like, how many men are gonna own up and be like, oh, well, I should have been putting more effort into the relationship? You know?
I mean, you gotta always be there. Like, if you're distant or you're not giving that attention to your partner, of course they're gonna start feeling distant.
But then in that case, would you still trust them? Would you still work on the relationship? That's the point of the question. Would you be able to still trust them if that was the...
If it's like severe, no, I wouldn't be able to trust
them. If they haven't cheated and y'all have just not been on the same page with each other.
We gotta sit down and break it down and be honest and speak about that. But to speak on the women that do stay, like in my opinion, for women that do stay in those situations where the man is cheating, I feel like the woman is dependent on that man, so that's why they could stay. Or
I think women just love in a different way. Like, a man is more like, women are more emotional. And so I feel like it doesn't mean that she's necessarily reliant, but she really loves that person. Not to say that men don't love women, but the love is different. So she's very emotionally connected. So just to cut that off, because I've considered it like, oh my gosh, if you were to cheat on me, I don't know if I would just leave. Because I'm like, wow, I might consider staying, especially depending on the circumstances. Like, if we have a family, if we're married, if we have kids, it makes everything more complicated. And it's like, do you stay? Beyonce stayed. Khloe Kardashian stayed. A lot of women stayed. The only man I know, Kevin Hart's wife stayed. The only man I know who stayed is Lawrence from Insecure.
And that's a fictional...
Exactly. But I love Lawrence.
It's a fictional story.
But it's like, yeah. But... at the end of the day, it's just best not to break the trust and to
try your best not to.
If you gonna cheat, just leave first. That's what I always say. If you feel the urge to come talk to me first, and if you you just not in a relationship no more, you want it to end, then end it before you cheat. Because once you do it, you can't take it back.
Plus, you hurting that person way more.
Yeah.
Than before you even do anything. When you go and do something, you're breaking that person's heart. You're messing up their mental.
What do you think are...
They might think they're not worthy and stuff.
Yeah, make them become insecure. It's a terrible
Trust
thing.
issues go out the window.
Yeah. The next person got to deal with that.
Yeah.
And all of that. And then they getting punished for something that they didn't even do. So it's like, what do you think are some toxic boundaries?
Toxic boundaries?
Yeah. I feel like if I was like... I
know some.
What? You want me to go first or you go first?
Not allowed to have opposite sex.
I was just about to say that.
That is lame. I feel that's terrible.
I feel like
that's too controlling.
Men and women can be friends. But a boundary that I do have is I don't know necessarily if I would want my man to be hanging out with a woman alone consistently. Like, I didn't meet you with a female best friend, so you can't get one now. I'm your female best friend.
I don't do best friends.
I feel like some people will find that controlling, but it's like, I think men and women can be friends. Absolutely.
They can.
And I don't stop you from having female friends. I don't stop you from having female people on Instagram or any of that stuff. But I feel like life happens, and sometimes it's just best to not put yourself in any situation. Like, I trust you. I don't think you would ever do anything to hurt me, but things happen in life. So you never know if one day you slip or she slip, and then boom,
never,
bam. Never. I mean, because you never know, because things can happen, unfortunately. So I feel like you just don't put yourself in that situation. Like, I personally would never put myself in a situation, because you trust me. But let's say we have an argument and I go and I hang out with my friend and they saying all the right things and they doing all the right things and you slip. It don't mean you go all the way. You might kiss them. You might start catching feelings for them. Then you start resenting your own relationship. People don't think about things like that.
Yeah.
I think about things like that all the way because I'm an overthinker.
What's that rule, that 80-20?
Yeah. You want to find somebody who got 80% of the things that you want and need.
I about to say, like, dealing with the 80 can be tough. Depends on what the relationship is like. But that 20, it looks nice.
Yeah. When you go
for
how it goes. Tyler Perry said you supposed to find somebody who got 80% of what you want. But when you're not getting that 20%, whatever it is, like affection, that wanting, romance, whatever that is in that 20% that you don't get from your partner.
Right.
When that 20% come around in a different person, it looks real good because you haven't been getting that 20% and you're willing to leave the 20 for the 80. Not realizing, dang, this person did all, they were loyal to me, they respected me, they had a good job, they wanted kids. I mean, they weren't always romantic and they didn't always give me a hug and they didn't always tell me how beautiful I was, but he had all of this other good stuff, you know? And that's something that can be hard to remember. And that's why I just say consistently, maybe every once in a while you can hang out with your female friends that you knew, but especially if you got a good man, ladies, I don't know if you want, I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of ladies out here look for good dudes. Yeah. And I can feel them on that. And it's hard to be single. So it's like if you got a good dude, it's like waving a steak in front of a dog. Not just for good dudes. If you have a great girl who's pretty and you got a good dude, I mean a guy friends hanging out with her.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. So it's just about being careful.
Being careful,
making
honest.
Sure you don't slip.
And
that's why I got that as a boundary.
Yeah.
You can't be hanging out with no chick every other weekend.
I agree. Saying like can't hang out, can't text people. It's like just people. Leave the crap on a friendship level, not on no.
Don't get too personal.
Don't get too deep.
Too crazy. Personal. Don't be talking crap about your person. That's another big one. Yeah. That's kind of like saying what like don't talk about me behind my back. But like don't talk crap about me to somebody else who's of the opposite sex, who you know might be trying to get with you. Because that's sometimes the case. You know, like, sometimes girls will have a backup boo.
Or guys will have a roster.
Yeah.
Who the top
you got somebody in the back to go to complain about your relationship with, and they just waiting for you to slip so you go with them. And it's like, damn.
It's all about choices, though. At the end of the day, everybody has free will. Yeah. I always say that. You got free will. Yeah. You make that choice.
Yeah.
And you gotta reap what you sow, right?
But it's like if you're trying to lose weight and you go buy a box of brownies and you put it in your house and you don't have enough self-control. You may not want to eat them box of brownies. You may not want nothing to do with the box of brownies. You may want to save it for next month.
Right.
But if you have a hard day or something go wrong at work or you really hungry and you ain't got nothing in your fridge, them box of brownies look good. So it's like, I just say that's a boundary for me.
It's great. Good boundary. Another boundary, let's see. Whenever I'm with the guys or whatever, just give me that space.
Yeah.
Or whenever I plan something with my friends.
Don't be calling me, blowing up my phone.
Yes, give me that space. Do not be,
where you at? What you doing? Why you not home yet?
Or texting me every moment while I'm doing something with them.
Yeah, I feel that. Space. That's just same with the girls. If I'm with my friends and I'm hanging out, don't call me and text me. Where you at? What you doing? Yeah. I feel that. That's real. What else? I don't know if there's anything else that's big.
Big boundaries. Or
be respectful to my family.
Yeah, respect. I
think that's family. Common sense. Apparently, common sense ain't that common. Some people don't respect people's families, and they say all sorts of crap to them.
Right. Can I think of anything else?
Don't throw me under the bus.
I think that's it. That's all we got.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 6 of A Couple's Take, where we talked about boundaries. We'll see you for the next one. As a take.